The second additional issue to consider in order to refine the activity we are designing is the allocation of time estimates for each task of our plan of activities and deliverables in coherence with the ECTS of the subject. Remember that the ECTS tell us how much time our students must devote to our subject. So this allocation times must be coherent with this total amount of time for our subject. So let's see. This is an example corresponding to a subject that we teach. The subject has 6 ECTS. Therefore, our students have to dedicate about 150 hours to the subject, spread over 15 weeks. In short, they must put in 10 hours per week, including class hours and hours of work outside the class. In the subject, students have only one class session of 3 hours per week, and therefore must dedicate 7 additional hours outside the class. Our activity plan must adapt to these requirements. Now we have to distribute the 3 hours in each class session between the activities of the session and 7 hours between the activities that the students do outside the class, making an hypothesis about the time they will need to carry out each of these activities. For example, in this first week, each student must dedicate 7 hours outside the class to work on the self-study material of the assigned topic. Remember, blue, green, or red topic. It could be perfectly something more specific, and if part of the study is to search information in the internet, and another part is to try to solve an exercise, I can indicate in the plan how many of those 7 hours should be dedicated to the task of searching information, maybe 1 hour, on the internet, and how many should be dedicated to try to solve the exercise, for instance, 2 hours to that task. In any case, it is important to present the students a detailed plan like this that indicates them how they should manage their time. Naturally, this guide is essentially critical for homework activities, because in class the teacher will already be guiding the activities. For us, the management of the dedication time of our students is very important if we really believe the concept of ECTS. It must be true that my students dedicate those 150 hours of work to my subject. If we pass a student with an excellent grade, we are accrediting that the student dedicated 150 hours and did an excellent job. And if we pass it with a low grade, we are accrediting that he dedicated 150 hours and his work was not so good. But both students have spent approximately 150 hours. Many colleagues are reluctant to carry out this detailed planning and communicate it to the students. I ask them, but you tell your students clearly what they have to do during the week? And they answer me, yes, I tell them they have to study. But can you specify something more? Can can't you guide them a little more? And they answered me, no, they are mature enough. They are at the university. This is the typical conversation, the typical position that causes many to give up taking control of a student's activity outside the class. They control what they do inside the classroom, but not what they do outside. Therefore, they have no guarantee that the students are devoting the time they are supposed to, or that they are doing the task they are supposed to do when they are supposed to do. We already know what are the results that are obtained in this scenario, in which we don't have control of the dedication of our students. We are out of control, and without control we don't know. We do not know what the students do. Rather, we suspect that they do not do what they should do, that they do their homework at the last minute, and we complain about this lack of maturity, as if it were something strange to leave work for the last minute when we don't have the external pressure that forces us to keep the work up to date. Therefore, it is necessary to allocate time to every task. Secondly, a rule must be established that indicates that no more time must be devoted to each task than the time that is established in the plan. For example, spend an hour looking for information on the internet about programming languages. You could spend a lifetime searching in the internet for information on programming languages, but this week you are going to dedicate only 1 hour. Do your best work in that time and then do the next assignment for this subject or other subject that also require your dedication. If the result of that task is mediocre, then we will talk in class about what we need to do to improve, and perhaps we will decide dedicate more time. But at the moment you only dedicate 1 hour. This is what we call a mini sermon for our students, which we usually complete with something like this. Engineers have to learn to do our best job with the resources they give us, such as time. Finally, it is important to collect information every week on the time spent by students on coursework in order to detect tasks that take more time than planned, or students that need more time than planned. This is especially important in the first editions of the activity because we may have miscalculated the time required to dedicate to the tasks. We need data to correct these errors for future editions. And naturally, if the data collected indicates that there are some students who each week need more time than estimated to carry out the task, then this is the moment to intervene to see what is happening and help them. Our experience is that applying these 3 basic criteria, it does not take much time to have a well-adjusted planning of the student's work, which, as we have indicated, we consider essential within the framework of the ECTS system, and that for many it is an intimidating and difficult challenge.